Today, we are going to do a head-on comparison between the two great towns located on the west end of the Greater Toronto Area. We are looking at Kitchener and London, Ontario. After all, both of these towns have actually seen some tremendous growth over the recent past. But if you are considering to move either of these towns and they are on your radar, and if you're wondering which town might turn out to be a better place to live, well, you do want to stick around because I'm going to actually dive into a few factors that does make any city a better place to live. Anything from its location, cost of living, employment opportunities, access to education, crime rate, things to do out and about, all those things we will dive into. So stick around, let's get right after it. Hello and welcome. If this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Kitchener, Cambridge and Waterloo, then subscribe below and tap on that bell for notification so you can be the first to learn about the current market in Kitchener and surrounding towns. My name is Dharmik Dixit. I'm a local real estate agent serving Kitchener and surrounding areas. I do get calls, texts, emails from people just like yourself pretty much every single day looking for help in making their move to Kitchener and towns around it, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're thinking of moving in 9 days or 90 days, be sure to reach out. All the info right in the description below. I'll be more than happy to help you make a smooth move to Kitchener and surrounding towns. So when it comes to location, I do gotta give this point out to Kitchener, mainly because of the fact that Kitchener is located much closer than London to the Greater Toronto Area and the suburbs. So, if you have friends or family you plan on visiting often, or they plan on visiting you once you guys move in, well, definitely Kitchener, Waterloo will be a preferred choice for commute, because you're gonna look at around hour 15 minutes at the most from pretty much any part of Kitchener or Waterloo to the Greater Toronto Area. And contrary to that, London, Ontario will be about another hour at least further away to the Greater Toronto Area. So, also keep in mind the fact that if you plan on commuting for work back to the Greater Toronto Area as you move in to this side, well, Kitchener, Waterloo will definitely work out far better for you, because A, you do have access to public transit. So we do have a GO train that actually takes you directly to the Union Station, and there are actually people who do commute from here to all the way to the downtown Toronto for work on a daily basis, although it's not as convenient, but it's feasible. On the other side, London, Ontario, well, it's gonna take you more than 2 hours each way. So I barely know anyone that actually does commute to Toronto for work from London, Ontario. But even if you were to do that, you will drive yourself crazy. So, with all things considered, location-wise, I can tell you Kitchener definitely is a better choice in comparison to London, Ontario. Now let's compare the cost of living between these great towns. But before we dive into that, one important thing we can agree on is the fact that major part of any household budget would be the shelter, whether you own or you rent. So we will actually compare the rental prices between these two great towns. So according to a website called Zumper.com, I've actually added the link below in the description. But as per that website, as of September 2023, an average cost of a one-bedroom apartment here in Kitchener was around $1,950 in comparison to $1,695 for London. So there's about $250 difference in monthly rent averages. For a two-bedroom, that was around $2,200 for Kitchener and around $2,050 for London. So again, there is close to like $200 difference in terms of rent in comparable units between these two towns. Now, obviously, there are other components to the household, like your food will be another one, groceries, your insurance costs, things like that. But I mean, a bag of milk or a box of cereal is not going to be different between Kitchener and London, 1 hour west. It's going to be very identical. That's why I will stick to the major component of any budget that kind of make up for the cost of living, and that's going to be your rental. And I'll get to the real estate part as well right next to this. But in terms of cost of living, London will be a winner based on the fact that you will find affordable, and when I say affordable in comparison to Kitchener, you will find affordable rental prices as well as the real estate prices. Now let's dive into the real estate price points between these two towns, and I've actually pulled some data from the Canadian Real Estate Association for both of these real estate boards as of Q2 for 2023, so second quarter of 2023. As per that data, an average cost of a condo apartment in London was around 386,000 versus the same thing in Kitchener was 463. For a townhome, an average cost was 546,000 in London, Ontario versus 655,000 in Kitchener, Ontario. For the same thing in terms of detached homes, an average cost for a detached was 681 in London, Ontario versus 880K in Kitchener for the Q2 of 2023. So, as you can make out, there is about on an average, somewhere around 100 to 150K difference between these real estate price points. And obviously that's going to translate into the, cheaper and lesser of a mortgage, depending on which town you pick. But especially if London was the case, well, the real estate will be definitely slightly more affordable. And that goes pretty much based on the fact that, there is this Toronto and suburbs, the Greater Toronto area. And the further you go away from that radius, the cheaper the real estate price points will get. Well, compared to the Greater Toronto area, Kitchener is cheaper. And if you were to go further down, London is cheaper. If you were to go further down to even Windsor, well, London might look more expensive. So based on the fact that London is located further away from the Greater Toronto area, obviously you will benefit from the affordable, cheaper real estate price point in comparison to Kitchener. So the winner in terms of real estate price points gotta be London. Now, when it comes to the employment opportunities, Kitchener-Waterloo has to be the clear winner here, and I'll tell you why. If I were to pull up some of the primary industries driving the work economy in London, Ontario, things like manufacturing, health science, professional services, and I think there's agri-food that came up as well. And some of the primary employers in London, or the major employers, are Honeywell, RBC, TD, Scotia, and then you have London Health Science, which is basically the hospital over there. Versus that, in Kitchener-Waterloo, we have our booming IT ecosystem. There is advanced manufacturing, digital media, and then we have aerospace as well. So work economy is definitely more diverse, but it's also the number of opportunities available in each of these towns. I can assure you Kitchener does actually far out better with the number of job opportunities, especially in some of the fields that I've just mentioned here. You definitely have a far better chance of finding work here locally in comparison to London. So the winner in terms of the work economy and the employment opportunities has to be Kitchener-Waterloo. Now, when it comes to access to education, both of these towns actually fare pretty well, and we'll look into the options, but we'll stick more so post-secondary level education and your options around those. When it comes to the schooling system, both towns have their individual public district school boards, which are well governed, offering some great schooling options in both these towns. But when it comes to the higher education, let's look at Waterloo. On one hand, Kitchener-Waterloo, you have University of Waterloo offering programs in tech and engineering, and it's also well known for its research programs as well as the industry affiliations within the region. On the other hand, in London, you have Western University, which is very well known for its healthcare programs, especially its housing Shoreditch School of Medicine and Dentistry. So it's very well known for its health science programs as well as the healthcare education. On the other hand, London does also have Fanshawe College, which offers programs in various disciplines, both the diploma and the degree programs. In KW, we do have Conestoga College as well as the Laurier, both of which are well known for some of its programs, especially Laurier being famous for its programs in business and arts. So it would really depend on what you plan to pursue in terms of the higher education. But both towns, when it comes to access to education, do offer some really promising options. So I would say it would be a tie when it comes to the access to education. Now let's compare the crime rate between the two towns and which town is deemed safer. I mean, if I were to purely go based on the numbers, as per the Canada Crime Index, Kitchener is deemed safer than London, Ontario in terms of its crime index. However, these numbers are to be taken with a grain of salt. What is important to remember is actually both these towns offer some great pockets. It's important to work with a local professional who knows those pockets and which ones to avoid, so you can actually, live in a neighborhood that's deemed safer than the rest of the city. But like I said, every town will come with those pockets which you want to avoid, and I've actually done a video about that, so feel free to check it out about the neighborhoods in Kitchener that you might want to avoid if you're planning to move in. But when it comes to crime, here in London versus Kitchener, if you go by the numbers, Kitchener is a winner, but like I said, take it with a grain of salt. Looking at the public transit access between the two towns, I mean, Kitchener-Waterloo will fare better, and I'll tell you why. So Kitchener-Waterloo, we have a public transit system that is governed by the Grand River Transit, which covers transit for Kitchener, Waterloo, and Cambridge. So it's kind of cohesive in nature. At the same time, we introduced the LRT system not too while ago, which actually does connect these three towns, and it's faster, it's more efficient, and more frequent. So the access to public transit is going to be better in KW versus London. In London, there is a public transit system governed by the London Transit, and it does have some routes connecting the interior parts of the city as well as the express routes. But overall, in terms of frequency and access, I can tell you Kitchener-Waterloo will turn out better. Now, having said that, it's important to remember both of these towns are still predominantly car friendly. So if you have your own car, that will definitely make life better for you. If you have someone in your family looking to rely on public transit, I can tell you KW will turn out better than London. Now, when it comes to entertainment options, both towns do offer some great options in terms of things to do. But, let's say if you're an outdoor enthusiast, I can tell you London is better in terms of your options for parks and outdoor recreation. On the other hand, if you are a foodie, well, dining options are far better in KW in terms of its depth and diversity versus London, Ontario. On the other hand, in terms of shopping, both of them are fairly equal. I mean, Kitchener-Waterloo doesn't have too much of fancy pants shopping. So, just like whatever things you need on your day-to-day basis, there are some great malls within both these towns which give you just that. But I can tell you, I'll be still skewed and biased towards Kitchener-Waterloo a little bit, because the vibe that you get hosting a couple of great universities which are world-renowned. If you go to Waterloo Public Square on any given day in summer evening, well, the vibe is different. So it's, in terms of entertainment, overall, there are some great options in both towns. But if you're looking for that vibe, well, I can tell you KW will be better than the London. So there you have it, the head-on comparison between KW and London. I mean, both these towns do offer some great promise in terms of the quality of life, but I do feel like, the priorities and the lifestyle choices for you and your family should be the deciding factor which town is a better fit for you. Having said that, whether it's Kitchener-Waterloo or London, still reach out to me, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or you can even schedule a Zoom call. All the info right in the description below. I'll be more than happy to help you make a smooth move to Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, and surrounding towns. Until next time, well, I do hope to show you around town.